sinistra.
Što? Sono tamo. Ili ti glavna govornica, kadar, mislim. Što?
Ovdje je najlakše.
Ovo je najlakše, ali ovo ti kadar za medije, ti su kamera tu staviti i žena priča.
Provjerio sam ja sa svim kamerama, ali
Strana se uvijek koristi, ovo ti nije slobodno svjetlo, bit će u kadru.
vidi se.
Ne vidi se, i mi smo napravili za govornika. I onda će biti kadar. I u kadru će što vidi što na kraju kod ljudi.
Ne,
Sve
što
vrijeme.
sam provjerio sa svima.
Oni se nikad ne
Razumijem.
nije u kontru kao.
Dobrevečer, good evening. So nice to see you, and so nice to see so many cafes at National Theatre. This is the closing ceremony of the Warm Festival 2025, and it's going to have 3 parts. I'm going to bother you for about 10 minutes. Then Francesca Albanese is going to have a keynote speech, and then we're going to step out and listen to the band. I'm going to say a few words, and we're going to take a few pictures. Warm today is more than a festival. It's a living space where important, real stories from around the world are told honestly, without fear or compromise. This year, the People Academy, more visions, more films, more conversations, more artists and reporters on places where conflicts continue. Our audience were to not just here inside, but globally. Together, this year we walked through exhibitions, we watched films, listened to different testimonies, shared music. This is Sarajevo. This is war. Sarajevo, a city where scars of war remain visible, but there are God, solidarity still alive and breakable. A city with all its shutters and their lives serves as a prison through which we can, should, human miseries, helping us to see them better. As our dear friend Giuliani, who's sitting here, said last year, this is a great, but thank God, one of the very few places where the obvious can be spoken, where a simple truth can be acknowledged and shared. This is exactly what place where people can speak truth, where voices that are often silent are given space and respect. That is a festival has again been at the heart of me, bringing together young authors, journalists, artists, connect, learn, and exchange. But not the what we have seen, heard, and started here will continue. War is now a platform that works all the year round, not just more words, keynote speech. A reminder of why we do this. We are on the side of bone, straightforwardly on the side of Mashica, Srebrenica, background and Al-Shif. Again, various people, they never got to live and drove their families mad with grief. In a way that some pretend that one has to, there's outrage, while another can be dismissed, rejected, or completely. Here inside, at war, they walk a straight line, always on the side of truth and dignity. And this week we showed exactly that through a remarkable program. We began on Monday with the Warm Academy, gathering more than 60 participants from around the world. The Academy is growing fast and has become something truly beautiful, a place where young people from so many countries come together to exchange ideas, learn from one another, and work of total conference. That's amazing. Exhibition designed by Leila Hodzic, focus on journalists, artists, and writers who shape the stories of our time. Notes is a growing, living archive of original notes used by authors reporting from comfort zones worldwide. The first exhibition displayed around 30 notebooks, filled with sketches, quotes, and fragments, the raw material story shaped in real time from Bosnia, from Rwanda, Iraq, Palestine, Lebanon, Myanmar, North Korea, Mexico, Colombia, beyond. Each notebook was this then custom-made wooden box and a craft. For years now, from project to project, Zan has been a partner with absolute understanding. And for us, having a partner like Zana, any grant or any deal we could make was water from the last. First edition of Notebook Smarts just the beginning of the collection that will continue to grow. At Kino Meeting Point, our long-term partner, the festival with the two interests, two of the guidance of our work. An extraordinary and brutal film that makes you hate the war, and for a moment, even a question why the festival was short. But really, those who saw 2008 will never again hear or read the news that a unit has such fixed plan, no matter how small and sane. We then launched War in Focus, a new series introduced this year dedicated to short, powerful documentaries that show journalism from curated by Sophie Langes. War in Focus highlights stories that might otherwise be overlooked. We opened the series with the home of Perpetually Lost, meditation by Vedanta Gurich, and an the idea of we screened My Dear Tale, a film by Ukraine director Elisa Kovalevich, followed by discussion with the author and another soldier. This is a part of a war in Ukraine as told, curated by Remy Orda. This event is not just the beginning of a larger project for war at a time when war has long focus on the civilian suffering. Ukraine is again, and many of these soldiers, artists, before taking up the arms, telling their own. That evening we opened War Front, a new collective exhibition, photographic and documentary work from Armenia, from Transnistria, from Xinjiang, from Iraq, from Balkans, and beyond. The exhibition was designed by Vladimir Velic. Later that night, we presented a special preview for Pumpai, Raul Galero Belan, from his upcoming film about 2025 student protests, tracing the energy, urgency, and courage for a new generation against political repression. The screening was followed by an engaged discussion with the women students from Belgrade. On Wednesday, Syria's Shadow Warriors presented a film and a part of the work of Commission for International Justice and Accountability. The film itself was created with an award network of members reflecting our commitment to support important and difficult work like this. Discussion moderated by Sophie Langes was deeply reflecting not only CJ's work on the human cost, but on also the human cost behind every document that we presented in case file. That evening, Sarajevo City Hall, our partner this year, hosted two major openings that took us deep from Palestine and Afghanistan. Over the city exhibitions by Leila Hodzic. Occupied territory by Fabio Luciarelli, face to face with the reality of under occupation. But how it shapes the intimate time, space, movement, and even Luciarelli work across the West Bank, Jerusalem, and Lebanon captures belief, resistance, survival, showing us to live freedom is fragmented, every day life counts. This project was supported by Gallery. No Women's Land by Kian Hayeri and Melissa Cornett offered an unflinching portrait of women girls living under Taliban rule. Through video and interviews, the exhibition revealed that women are systematically excluded from work and even simple job. It showed not just repression, but what one architect called a spiritual collapse. Our paths was and still is a very powerful collective exhibition bringing together Syrian photographers and artists who have now returned in the fall of Islam. They wore long silence under 5 decades of dictatorship finally speaks freely, telling stories even in exile, return, and home. Curated by Abdul Hassan and designed by Lania Grisbegovic, this exhibition was produced by Young, where it on Friday we screened Rendezvous avec Pot, followed by a long discussion with the author, moderated by Carol Dessu. Conversations that led beyond the film to reflect memory, genocide, and the ways we tell and preserve these histories. Later that day, we opened Srebrenica 30 years, Danish Artists, photographic to record spanning 3 decades. This major exhibition was organized by the Wolf and the University of Sarajevo Gallery in 791. The evening, Gaza Unframed event offered a moving program of installations, performances, and discussions. It was by introducing the photography of Ali Jadala from Gaza. We like the presentation by Laura Boschner. Introduced Gaza Biennale, and a powerful discussion followed with Francesca Albanese, Murat Shori, and artists to join us. To close the day, we premiered Gaza Doctors Under Attack, a documentary investigating the systematic targeting of Palestinian hospitals during the assault of Gaza. By Basic Film in London, our whole partner. It's another example of how this festival continues to offer space for others refuse to show. Screening discussion with the filmmakers, moderated by Raul Galego. Saturday featured Vorak Academy open stage where Academy participants showed their work, and the launch of another world division of Laura Boschner, a city-wide exhibition presented with Cultura and festival human stories from across the Arab world. The exhibition was in the previous 3 editions, designed and curated by Leila Hodzic in 15 locations. This evening, we gathered for the World Festival closing ceremony, and as soon as I finally finish here, Francesca Albanese will speech. I only invite you to say for what is when words fail, spoken outside the National Theatre, Alexander Zina's graphic series, Contraflow, and then closing by of the Nuda Shuli DJ music workshop with takeover decks and celebrate the festival. So this has been a remarkable week. It has been Another chapter in what WARP has become, a platform that works throughout the year, projects around the world. We could not have done this without the support of our partners, and there are many on the screen. Your trust and understanding allows WARP to remain what it is. Free space that no one will feel pressure or fear. If it's excellent and done with integrity. Thanks to all of you, audience, participants, guests, Sadeo and WARP remain one of the very few places where difficult, uncomfortable, and important conversations can happen. Especially want to recognize the WARP team, all the volunteers and members, and all the incredible authors and individuals and help it make it. I also want to take a very special thank you to Soraya, Bell, Leo, and the videos that you see. And then we invite you to join us next year for WARP Festival 2026 in July. Soraya, thank you.
Dobro večer, Sarajevo. Because it's late during the day, and because it's also the closing of this beautiful event, I decided not to bother you with a very interesting lecture about international law. But there are another lecture, an unusual one, recently in text, and invited to reflect on the concept of power. And what does an international lawyer want to say about power? Let's see. 1982. It's a late September afternoon. I'm 5 years old on the couch with my parents. It is blowing from me, enjoying. And suddenly the broadcast cuts out. Shocking images from a nearby country. Bodies piled together. I don't understand. The clothes look like ours, like my mother's. Children, some are only pieces. No, they are not sleepy, says over my eyes nervously. After the water of Prime Minister 20 years later, 3,000 Palestinian civilians were slaughtered in a refugee camp in just 2 days. That was the first time I heard the word refugee. I instinctively linked it to those like broken dolls on the burning asphalt. 3 months later, the UN declared Sabra al-Shatila a genocide. I remember the other voices in the distance I had never heard before. How did this happen? How did we get here? Years later, I found a book in school written by a man named Primo, which in Italian means first. His name, his family name, Eddie, matched my peace. But Primo, what kind of a name is it? The name intrigued me, so I started reading it. That book was a testimony. It spoke of a place where people were stripped of everything. Names, hair, clothes. Camp and circle and barbed wire. A number that starved, beaten, used. Alive, but just barely. Condemned, as Primo Levi says, quote, working in the mud and knows no peace that dies for a yes or a no. When end of quote. Quote, hairless names, eyes hollow, warm cold, like frogs in winter. End quote. Stunned, I asked my child, Papa, my favorite. Baba, is it true? CNN, yes. He said softly, it happened. Another encounter with the word genocide, its scale and its horror. 6 million Jews, 8,000 were Italian like Primo Levi, 250,000 Roman Sinti, another 250,000 with disabilities, killed together with other of his descent and other non-conforming people, crushed by the fantasy of purity, an old and hard-to-die idea. And again, that question, how did we get here? Summer 1995. Images trickle into Italy from another nearby country. Late, blurred, yet unmistakable. Journalists called it, quote unquote, the war in former Yugoslavia. It wasn't just a war, was it? Snipers firing on civilians, mass rapes, concentration camps, men separated from women, small children forced onto trucks, teen boys with men. Thousands were executed. It happened in many places, and the most atrocious was for some families in a UN that was over. But the usual piercing question, how could this happen? How did this time we could have this happen? September 24. I am at home in Tunis. Outside my window, my 9-year-old loves. He calls me, he wants me to play with him. Outside, on the other side of the window, I'm frozen. I watch him screaming toward a burning building. Her child, her 9-year-old, my child, is inside, is burning alive. That image again. How many images of pure horror like this have I seen in the last nearly 600 days? How many images like this have the Palestinians kept of their body and soul? And how many have the world had to verify? Back then I was writing my first UN report, documenting genocide in Gaza. At that point, 41,000 people had been killed. 11,000 were children. Again, schools, hospitals, mosques, churches, obliterated. Whole families wiped from civil registries. Doctors, bakers, scholars, fishermen. The name of what was happening in Gaza were survivors. Because like any other genocide survivors, they understand the march. People of all ages coming with tears in their eyes. How did we get here? And despite what Western traditions say, genocide, based on what has happened in the past, genocide is a crime corresponding to a clear definition. Genocide is not just masking or extermination. It's the destruction of a people as such, killing, inflicting physical or mental harm, of life calculated to destroy, preventing birth. All of these acts are genocide when committed with intent to destroy a group as such. And Israel has committed every one of them in Gaza. Over 6,000 are dead now. Let's say 4,000 more, over 300,000 might have died from hunger, thirst, infection, untreated wounds. Because in fact, nearly 60,000 Jews were by trauma. The other, starved, burned, shriveling, babies struggled in their arms, children turned to shadows. 70% of victims in the Gaza genocide have, from the very beginning, been women and children, not by accident, but because of Gaza's demographics. 18,000 children killed. 18,000 children killed. And that is clear. It is spoken, it is being carried out. It's Palestinian life, starting with the children, the present and the future. And once again, the question returns, how can we get here? After months of trying to answer these 2000s who share the same sense of powerlessness, we see clearly. When reason is extinguished, are born. When humanity is dimmed, genocide works better. Genocide is not a single act, it's a process. It means the moment one stops seeing the other as a person, reduces them to an abstract mass fit only for stereotyping and prejudice, judgment, punishment, or evasion. Genocide is the dormant gene of dehumanization, activated becomes doctrine, and from there, political ideology. So it's not how we get here, not how it happened, but how do we stop it? Genocide should be hard to commit in 2025. The law gives us all the tools to prevent it, but only if we recognize it. And today, the world is split too. Those who see this horror act, those who look away for fear, for convenience. The paralysis is our feeling of impotence, doesn't it? Which brings us to the core, power. This is the word I want to place strongly and firmly at the heart of the labyrinth of resistance that this Worm Festival is. Power. Power as force, a peak from which the strong rule, government, operations, armies, those who control and the narrative, and decide what to see and what to think. A loud alpha power reflects its chest, shows off its muscles, yet hides its own fragility. But is that all power is? Something to seize or to suffer? Because if it's that, what of the rest of us who are armies, no algorithms, and own no financial empires? Are we powerless? No. No, if we decide to belong to the army of what photographer Misan Harriman calls the army of moral warriors. Moral warriors have power, not power over, but power to, a verbal possibility. This is a kind of power that is generated, possessed, it's shared, not hoarded. It is intimate, maternal, an energy that creates, that welcomes, that transforms, that binds us. This generative power hurts to think new. That is exactly what we need right now. The power to see, the power to act, the power to change. And we start all this in Palestine. Palestine is a test for humanity, not only because as human beings asks, but because Palestine reveals far too much of what is broken in our own homes, in our own hearts. Power is a thermometer of returning ghosts and already underway. And we see it clearly because the question is not just when truth becomes violent. When a journalist is fired when a professor is suspended for daring to explain, when a host is denounced for daring to show, when those who protest, students or priests or Holocaust survivors, with battles, when those who demand freedom from genocide, forever occupation and apartheid, are terrorists. When the very people asking for the enforcement of the laws we wrote 8 years ago, will never return and genocide will never happen again, yes, a reckoning is needed, a firm. We must choose actively to defend today what is right, with our fundamental rights, those who claim for ourselves and for others. The power to think, the power to speak, the power to dissent, the power not to stay silent is to use first and foremost for our rights. The power to ignite the light within us, the power to activate the power that lives in us, because we are power. Power seeking, reaching, joining, uniting. Alone we might falter, but together we can illuminate, to see one another, and together to bring about the change that is now urgent. A single candle might flicker out with a child's breath, but 1,000 candles the world ablaze. What we need now is that symbolic fire, the fire of reason, of restored conscience, of logos, not to destroy, but to light the way. Let it be a sacred fire, moral warriors, and from its flames, it will be reborn, clearer, clearer, human. Thank you.
Enjoyed the concert outside.